Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. And as always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or listening through the archives. We're here to spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. Those tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. Go to that website, click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages that says Start Here. It'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book provides a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 16 years to improve the quality of my life, manage my emotions, and turn any negative emotional response that I generate into an infallible guidance system. We're encouraging people to do that. The actual tool is available absolutely free on that same webpage. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words HeartLand Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app. It contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. If you do that, and start using that tool and it generates some questions or comments, we'd be happy to have you call us at 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, it'll put a little question mark by your phone number and I can announce you by your area code. And we appreciate when people do that because it makes it easier for us to live into our intention with this work. Our intention with this work is to be of service. So today is the 68th day of the year, and we're reading the Course in Miracles lessons. And today's lesson, number 68, is simply, Love Holds No Grievances. The commentary reads, You who were created by love, like itself, can hold no grievances, and know your true self. To hold a grievance is to forget who you are. To hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. To hold a grievance is to let the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. Perhaps you do not yet fully realize just what holding grievances does to your mind. It seems to split you off from your source and make you unlike it. It makes you believe that your source is like what you think you have become. For no one can conceive of his or her creator as unlike his or herself. Shut off from your higher self, which remains aware of its likeness to its creator. Your higher self seems to sleep, while the part of you and your mind that weaves its illusion in its sleep appears to be awake. Can all this arise from holding grievances? Oh, yes. For he who holds grievances denies she was created by love and denies her creator has become fearful to him in his dream of hate. Who can dream of hatred and not fear their creator? It is as sure that those who hold grievances will redefine their creator in their own image as it is certain that the creator created them like itself and them as part of it. It is as sure that those who hold grievances will suffer guilt as it is certain that those who forgive will find peace. And in this work, forgive means dismantle the false beliefs and illusions. It is as sure that those who hold grievances will forget who they are, as it is certain that those who dismantle those false beliefs will remember. Would you not be willing to relinquish your grievances if you believed all of this were true? Perhaps you do not think you can let your grievances go. That, however, is simply a matter of motivation. Today, we will try to find out how you would feel without them. If you succeed even by ever so little, there will never be a problem in motivation ever again. So begin today's extended practice period by searching your mind for those against whom you hold what you regard as major grievances. Some of these will be quite easy to find. Then, think of the seemingly minor grievances you hold against those you like and even think that you love. It will quickly become apparent that there is no one against you whom you do not cherish grievances of some sort. This has left you alone in all the universe in your perception of yourself. Determine now to see all these people as friends. Say to them all, thinking of each one in turn as you do so, say to them, I would see you as my friend, that I may remember you are part of me and come to know myself. I would see you as my friend, so that I may remember you are part of me and thereby come to know myself. Spend the remainder of the practice period trying to think of yourself as completely at peace with everyone and everything, safe in a world that protects you and loves you, and that you love in return. Try to feel safety surrounding you, hovering over you, and holding you up. Try to believe, however briefly, that nothing can harm you in any way. And at the end of the practice period, tell yourself, love holds no grievances. When I let all my grievances go, I will know I am perfectly safe. The short practice periods should include a quick application of today's idea in this form. Whenever any sort of grievance arises against anyone, physically present or not, simply say, love holds no grievances. Let me not betray my higher self. In addition, repeat the idea several times an hour in this form. Love holds no grievances. I would wake to my higher self by laying all my grievances aside and awakening in creation. We've also made the commitment to keep up with Pam Grout's book, The Course in Miracles Experiment. And so, chapter 68 of that book is titled, Lay That Sucker Down. She quotes John Green as saying, love is both how you become a person and why. Pam writes, grievances clog up the pipes and keep me from fully knowing my badass self. Let's use comedian Patton Oswalt for demonstration purposes. A few months ago, he tweeted out a cheeky poem about Trump's wall. A conservative war vet from Alabama took exception and came back with this response. Quote, I just realized why I was so happy you died in Blade Trinity, close quote. Minutes later, the vet posted a follow-up jab. Quote, and you shoot basketball like the sawed-off little man you are, close quote. Witty Patton Oswalt could have continued on with the fiery exchange, but instead he took lesson 68. Love holds no grievances, and he took it to heart. He was determined to see his former enemy, in quotes, as a friend. He decided to let his grievances grow. He decided to let his grievances go. His next tweet was, quote, oh man, this dude just attacked me on Twitter. But then I looked at his timeline, and he's in a lot of trouble health-wise. I'd be upset too. He's been dealt some really shitty cards. Let's deal him some good ones. Click and donate, just like I'm about to do. Not only did Patton Oswalt donate $2,000 to the vet's GoFundMe page, but he encouraged his 4 million followers to do the same. Thanks to Patton Oswalt, the vet's campaign to treat his sepsis and diabetic ketoacidosis raised $15,000 in a couple of hours, which was 3 times its original goal. But most importantly, the vet, too, gave up his grievances. And he typed, quote, "These generous outpourings of love and support have given me a whole new perspective. I am not a man who cries, but I am truly humbled." Of course, Oswalt had to second his new friend's tweet, and he, quote, replied, quote, "This is why compassion and forgiveness are always best," close quotes. So today's lesson: love holds no grievances should be repeated as often as possible. So that is our commitment for the day, to read the lesson. And we're wide open for comments and questions. We have 47 minutes left. We have plenty of time. We have a call-in number of 563-999-3581. And we'd be happy to hear from anybody who wants to discuss anything relevant. I have a call out for suggestions, people that we can interview, books that we can read. I have the call out for today being a Tuesday, so that means we have a Mindshifter support group that's available absolutely free. If you can't afford to pay any money for it, join us anyway. All of the information about how to join that group is available at mindshiftersacademy.org website. There's a separate information page for the Tuesday group sign-in and the Thursday group sign-in. And we would appreciate it if you would either join us or forward that information to somebody who might be interested in joining us. We discuss, we listen to an hour of a presentation or watch an hour of somebody speaking, and or we do worksheets and discuss the worksheet process. And that, I'm told that Jeannie told me that we've hit March 4th or whatever, and that was 2 years of our second hour of Mindshifter Radio. And we are approaching 17 years of doing the Tuesday support group. So there must be some benefit. And yet to speak of the benefit, I would have to invent an entire new language. I don't really have an answer anymore for people when they ask, why do you do this? Why do you donate all of this time to the Internet support group, to the Internet Tuesday or Thursday support group, or the Mindshifters radio show? And I guess the closest approximation I have in the limitation of our current language is because it's improved the quality of my life beyond what words can describe. And that usually prompts people to ask, well, why and how, and I don't really have words for it. So if you're interested in discovering that, in being introduced to parts of yourself that you can't get any other way, if you're interested in having a different experience of your life, join us. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, Dr. Tim. I hope you can hear me all right. I'm walking home and it's very windy. Can you hear all right?
Yes.
Good. Quick question about the wording of today's Miracles lesson, which is so great. I wonder if Michael would fuss with the word resonance that's caused by saying the word grievances. Love holds no grievances. Is there another way you might word it?
Yes, and this is so this is quite windy. So just hold on a minute. Let me just read what Joan wrote in her chat. Dr. Ryce gave us a grievances, activity, and loss of living. I list the person and grievance in one column, and to the right, in the second column, all the positive traits I can possibly come up with to describe the person. See the love the person is, in essence. So, Susan, I'm going to mute you because of the noise, but I think what you were asking, although it was quite windy and it was difficult to hear, I think what you were asking is, with Michael's penchant for talking about regulatory speech, is there another way to phrase today's lesson? And so you might want to say it in terms of love releases all grievances. You might want to say it in terms of love accepts all things, allows all things, surrenders to all things, and in that way transforms, transmutes all things, or transcends all things. I understand, this is a tricky thing for a lot of people. As a matter of fact, we had somebody who, a new person recently who was talking about, I don't like to do the worksheets because it has me focusing on the negative, and I don't want to add mental energy to the negative. So I think that's the kind of direction that you're pointing us in, although I'm not certain. So I'm going to unmute you here and see if we can hear you better.
I'm almost to my son's house where the wind will be less, but yes, that's exactly. I haven't been saying it the way it's said. I've been saying everything is just as it is, and I allow it. I even stopped using the word love because I still have a lot of garbage connected with the word love, meaning I have a feeling about it, and even the word joy. I've been sort of peeling off words and trying to get back to the neutrality of everything to start, and then just building from there. I hope you can hear me all right. It's a little better. But,
yeah, it's a lot better. Yeah, it's a lot better.
Okay.
Well, and I agree with that, and I applaud you working with the words to, choose the ones that resonate the most smoothly with you. Because if we don't do that, we can end up, the old adage is cutting off our nose to spite our face. I'm not going to do this work because, I don't like the word God, or I don't like the word love, and if we just understand that the word has no meaning other than what we give it, and that we're free to change the meaning and or change the word. And what's much more important as a bottom line is what are the results we're getting. So we like to encourage people to be results oriented in this work, and some people find it's of great value to use that tool of regulatory speech and clear up something like this. So instead of talking about what we don't want, grievances, we talk about allowance, surrender, acceptance, and it's not a coincidence that those are all parts of what the Way of Mastery calls the keys to the kingdom. Desire, intention, allowance, surrender, and humility are the keys to the kingdom in Lesson 5 of the Way of Mastery. And there's a reason for that, because the flow of life is just going to always be the flow of life. And we create the suffering that we experience by either resisting the flow of life or trying to grab onto select few parts of it and push other parts of it away. And that's what creates our suffering, not the flow of life.
Right. It was very useful, though, for in the directions to say, bring to mind the obvious people against whom you have a grievance, and then keep until you're really looking at the people you care about the most. It reminds me of a quote somewhere ages ago, and I can't reproduce it except to say that nobody ends up being free of projected grievances. No matter who I think of, I can find a grievance. It might be very small. I might not have thought of it before, but it's part of not accepting the whole person and the whole of our interactions, and that balloons right out into everything, the whole of life. So it was a good exercise to go from that looking at the ant by my sink, and there have been a lot fewer ants, but my meditation with Magda, she called me and we did 10 minutes of speaking with ants and having ants answer back with all respect and love toward the ants. It does seem amazing to me that when I went downstairs right after that, there was one ant here, one ant there. Most of them got the message, and the other ones might be just recalcitrant or whatever, or maybe they speak Greek or something. Anyway, there are things that cause grievances. My iPhone fell out of my pocket and went clunk on the floor, and I had this flash of, oh, that stupid thing, it always falls out. I mean, I don't know. It's an endless assignment, really, this one.
The releasing grievances is an endless assignment? Well, the truth be told, every one of these lessons is an endless assignment.
Yes. And I should probably cancel that thought because it could happen in a flash, too. Yeah.
And it does. When it does, it's just happening in a flash. Whenever it's over, it's over. And it continues perfectly until it's time for it to be over, just as everything else in life does.
So if nobody else has pressed one, I have another question, unrelated.
Okay, what's that?
You've gone through the Byron Katie book really fast, and I am still taking it very slowly, and I'm at the beginning. She talks about darkness. She says there's joy in darkness, and I'd forget, I'm not home with the book. I was going to actually read you part of it because it's so short, this little chapter. But I wonder if you remember that and if you had any thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's such a tricky thing to talk about because so many people invest so much energy in the darkness routine. And yet it's just your mind that's creating your experience of whatever you call light or dark. And so, the essence of every answer is what we do with everything else, which is learn to question it at deeper levels.
Right.
Well, is it true that this is darkness? Can I absolutely know it's true? Who am I, or how does it affect my life when I believe that this is true?
And does she mean the darkness, biblical darkness, which was before God said, "And let there be light"? It's just the condition before physical manifestation happened at all, except darkness is a visual thing. So it's just a word to describe.
Yeah, but that's what you're driving home the point. You could make it mean this, you could make it mean that. It could be just the word, it could be the actual illumination or lack of illumination. But, in that part of the book, I think she's talking about, the quote, spiritual or mental emotional beliefs that people have about darkness, as well as anything to do with illumination. So the 4 questions that she asks are, is it true? And the next one is, can you absolutely know it's true? And if you just sit with that second one a little longer than the first, can you absolutely know it's true? What you're doing is you're priming your mind to move into observation mode, which is what all these great spiritual teachings tell us is important to do. We can't know, truly, we don't know much of anything. There's several lessons in the first 68 lessons in the course that had us focus on how little we know, how we really don't know much of anything. We kid ourselves into thinking that we know the true nature of ourselves or the world around us. The third question she has people ask themselves is, how do you react and what happens when you believe that thought? And with that question, you start to notice the internal cause, the internal dynamics that are set in motion when you believe a thought. Right. And then the last question is, who would you be without that thought? Who would you be and how would your life unfold if you didn't believe that the darkness has any power over you, or that there is an entity that is dark and then one that is light, and on and on and on? Who would you be if you didn't believe this person did this horrible thing to you and that's what's causing your pain? Who would you be if you didn't believe you had a right to hold on to your grievance? What happens to you? What's the internal effect on you every time you believe that your thoughts about that grievance are true? So these are really powerful questions, and they're basically, the way I look at them, they're just a short version of, depending upon how much time you spend doing them, they could be a shorter version of the Reality Management Worksheet.
Right.
Because the first 3 steps of the Reality Management Worksheet focus on what am I doing with my thoughts and how is that generating my feeling, and what am I creating in my own internal process with my thoughts? And that's essentially what Byron Katie's questions are bringing us to do, just to observe. What are we doing to ourselves and our experience of life with our thoughts? How do our life experiences change when we believe our thoughts? And how do they change when we question them? She calls it inquiry. Right. Some people in the depth-oriented brief therapy, they call it radical inquiry. And it is simply that questioning state that so many of these spiritual teachings call us to, including Course in Miracles and Way of Mastery.
And when she has you go that next step and say, turn it around, that's the next step in the worksheet, too. How have I done
exactly
what I think that other person's done? That's so cool. I've never put them together like that.
Yeah, it's the same internal process making its way into the world with slightly different jargon and formulations. It's the same thing. Everything that works is essentially the same. When we see truly, we see our safety. We see our true nature as spiritual beings having a physical experience. We see how asleep we are when we try to convince ourselves that we know what's going on. When we're living in what Michael would call the 20 trillion bit world, and our mental processor can process 10,000 bits of that 20 trillion bit world, and perhaps 9 bits are making it into conscious awareness in that period of time. So how silly is it for us to believe we know what's right, we know what's wrong, we know what's really going on here, We know why we're in pain. Well, all the great spiritual traditions tell us in one way or another that when we truly discover the source of our pain, the source of our pain disappears. So if you have anybody who's still in anger and they tell you, I know why I'm angry, they're completely off the mark. They have no idea why they're still angry.
Is there any corresponding part in her worksheet corresponding to the worksheet where you stop and ask to be shown? Implying,
well, it's all of it. All of it is. Her entire thing about inquiry, questioning, you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking to be shown, okay, is this thing that I'm using to create my pain, is it true? Okay, I'm asking to be shown, how can I know it's true? What is the story I'm making up? I'm asking to be shown a different way to look at the very thing that moments ago I was absolutely certain was responsible for my pain.
Right. So hers is much more organically about the self, which she wouldn't even capitalize the word self probably. She doesn't go outside of our own unlimited capabilities. But I have been very much helped coming from the Judeo-Christian background that I do of bringing, quote, God, unquote, in, even though God, I don't really have any definitions and don't even call. I love what Grout does with the various names, the dude and whatever else. It's given me more hope to use that. She doesn't use that, and I wonder if other people haven't needed that the way I thought I needed it, the way Michael leaves a gap for not only being shown, but being shown by something bigger and far and bigger than I am. And she's not saying that isn't true. She's got it all in one big bubble. I don't know if that made any sense, but
yeah, if you read some of her books, if you listen to her talking, other than just watching her step somebody through the questions, you get the idea that she understands and she has an experience of being a part of the whole.
Would she call it divine? I don't know if she would, and it doesn't matter, but it's just interesting to me that it's so generous of God to give a tool for people who don't want to have anything to do with God, according to their limited understanding. Are you still there, Dr. Tim? All of a sudden can't hear you. If you're there and speaking, you've gone silent. I'm going to hang up and dial in again. Hello? Hello, hello. Any luck? Still can't hear you. Hello. Hello? Hey.
Hi.
Dr. Tim?
Nope, it's Mary. Hi, it's Susan?
Yeah.
Hi, I don't know where, Tim says he's working on it. I texted him. So
Oh, good.
Yep, he's working
Hi,
on
Mary.
it. Hi. All right, Susan, you're the co-host. Here we go.
Okay, and Ann just texted me. I can hear you, Susan, but can't hear Dr. Tim.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Ann. How you doing?
Okay. How are you?
I haven't been for a while
Fancy
either.
meeting you here. What'd you say?
I said hello to Ann. I haven't seen her in a long time.
Yeah. Hi, Ann. Well, the gang's gathering around.
There you go. Oh, it's wonderful.
Never a dull moment.
No, there isn't. That's for sure. But I always say, Susan, I'm so glad you're on there. Sometimes you just voice things that I am just not saying well enough, and it's always helpful, and I love it. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. So nice of you to say that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I am blatantly greedy and feeling better and better about being greedy as I come on the radio show and get all these great answers.
Mhm. Oh, it's wonderful. I've been in Tim's groups for a number of years, and I've gotten just miraculous results. It's wonderful. Not easy, but
yeah. So you live? Are you on Zoom with him, or you live right there, or both?
Well, both. I live right here, and yes, we just do the Zoom thing normally, but yeah, and that's been great too. Actually, I thought for sure it would be. I didn't know how we were going to manage things because everybody still wanted to do it, and of course, and yeah, so it's been great. I guess it's been about, my gosh, at least 8 or 9 years, I guess. So it's awesome.
Good for you. That's terrific.
Yeah. Different life. But yes, and tonight's through the advertisement. Tonight's another group. So.
Oh, good.
Come on, everybody. So. Oh dear. I think we.
Well, can you hear me now?
Yay!
Oh,
there's
Dr. Tim, you're back.
Yeah, it's quite the arduous journey. They're having some technical difficulties. So I just now got in and I heard Mary say, so tonight's another group. So I have not been able to hear the show or know what's been happening.
Well, you cut out just a few minutes ago, and I texted you right away, and then Mary piped in, and I could hear her talk. So Mary and Ann texted me saying, yeah, Dr. Tim went quiet. So Ann's probably listening, Mary's listening, and we've been yakking to wait for you to come back on. So welcome back on to your show.
Well, you're welcome. I thank you. I remember I was saying I was talking, and you were talking right over me, and I was talking right over you, and I realized something was amiss. I was saying you had asked the question about whether or not Byron Katie would call something divine, and I just burst out laughing and said, I don't know, but I can tell you this much from what I've listened to her in her books and on videos and things is, if she did, she would instantly say, or not, call it whatever you want. What you call it isn't important. That it's, because she's tapping into the deeper realization, like Michael Singer is, that goes way beyond words.
Yeah.
So the words aren't important. The idea is we are part of something that's immensely bigger than our minds can comprehend.
Right. It's funny that in Tim Bingham's and my studies with the Hindu tradition for 10 years, they make a lot of the opposites and how the opposites need to be gotten beyond. I can't remember the phrase. It's a wonderful phrase that one thing already suggests its opposite, and we have to go beyond that. Totally, every time, all the time.
Well, and the thing is that opposites are just an appearance. It's something that our mind has created, because all there is everything that is, and everything that is exists within all that is. It's that kind of circular logic that our Western language and mindset doesn't have any really good words for.
Right.
Right? How can there be anything outside of all that is? And if all that is God or the Creator or the creation, then the only thing that divides things up into bits and pieces is our mind. And what you'll notice is, as we do that, we create our pain and our suffering.
Right.
This is one of the meanings of the story of, the original humans. The first time that they ate from the tree of good and evil, what does that mean? They decided to label some things good and some things bad, and in that they created their own suffering.
Mm.
But as Shakespeare says, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Well, that's one of the main interpretations of that parable of eating from the tree of good and evil is, guess what? If I label something bad, for me it becomes bad. But it's just a part of all creation, and there's nothing in creation that's either bad or good. It just is.
Mm. And so we come right around to the lesson again. Like, while we're here, perceiving that we are in bodies, don't hold any grievances.
Well, but what we're being led to is every grievance we create is self-induced nonsense. It is, the acronym for sin that I find most useful. Every grievance I create is just a part of the hallucination of separation, the dream of separation, where it has me hallucinating something that never happened.
Right. Michael talks about gentle perceptions. It's like we get with our nose all the way to the edge, but we're still on this side. So if we have to have perceptions, they better be gentle.
Well,
are you okay?
I am. I just that's just words talking about because we are limited to the input that our body gives us with the senses and what our culture and family have conditioned us to with words and beliefs. The gentle perception you're referring to there seems to me to make sense in terms of thoughts become things, so choose the good ones. If I have thoughts about something and they create my pain, then I could choose a different thought. I could choose to create a less painful dream. But everything about my experience in this physical realm is the dream.
Right.
Another way to talk about it is that every emotion I have is part of my guidance system. And so if it results in a sensation or an experience I don't like, I could use it as feedback that my use of my cognitive functioning, that process of sustained incoherence, is off the mark. So I just do a course correction. Every time I'm in pain, it's Michael Ryce says, if I'm in pain, I'm in error.
I just love you.
Okay, so apparently someone who's unmuted doesn't know they're unmuted, and they're talking to someone about loving them. So, area code 520, who's with us?
This is Audrey.
Hello, Audrey.
I could have been talking to my dog. I was unmuted. I was telling my dog how much I love my dog.
Well, so you have a hand up and you're unmuted, so how can we support you today?
Yes, I wanted to share an experience that I had with what I call Magnificent Magda. She is my spiritual partner for the intensive, and we were doing a worksheet Sunday. And the stimulus with me, the event, the stimulus was when someone had called me a Virgo. well, indeed, I am a Virgo. I showed up in September. And then he was going on with negative thoughts about Virgo. Now, he went away, but I retained those negative thought forms. So I started doing that to myself and then saying to myself how he is wrong. I want to be right. He was wrong. Did the worksheet. And, of course, this goes to grievance. I had a grievance. Okay, so I did the worksheet. And then I could actually feel that it was a real experience. I actually felt the shift of energy when that self-created block was released. It was the same experience word from when I heard the lion and the lamb lay down together. Because once that shift happened, no longer, once that shift happened, I experienced total peace. And so these worksheets are working for me. It's an experience. It's a shift in energy. And I am so grateful as I do my inner work. And I am so thankful for all the support systems that I'm receiving. Thank you. I just wanted to share that because it is an internal process, because the authentic self always is in peace.
Well, I'm glad you're getting that kind of results, and I encourage you to stay with it because it's just the beginning.
Yes, as long as I work. And it's letting go and releasing, and it was an absolute shift of energy. And thank you.
All right. You're very welcome. Thank you for the call. So, Mary or Susan, do you have any more comments, or should we turn on the next hand up?
Oh, turn on. How about you, Mary?
Oh, yes, I'm fine. Listening away. Thanks.
Okay.
So, area code 917, you're in the air. Or not. Area code 917, if you're speaking, you're muted. All right. So area code 484, is this Ellen?
Yes, it is. Hello.
Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you. I just wanted to add something to the whole talk about the words that we use, the meaning that we give words, and also the talk about opposites, because it really just struck me one day that, let me just say, I have stopped looking at opposites as opposite. That connotes, opposition, which I don't believe is real. And now I look at them as complements, so like hot and cold. Without cold, without having both, there would be no wholeness. So I've just kind of made that switch, and I don't know if that's helpful for anyone, but that was very helpful for me to see all of these things instead of as opposites, as complements, complementary halves of the whole.
Yep, that's a good way to think about it. And it's not even halves of a whole, they're just complementary aspects. As soon as we say parts, we've made a judgment. But, our perception can lead us to, and our language leads us to make the separations and the judgments. It reminds me of what Dale Evelyn Hoffman says in the ancient Aramaic. There's no such thing as these two words, one word for cause and the other one for effect, because it's understood that they're just aspects of life unfolding. To separate cause from effect is part of the human thought process, the illusion of separation, because
you
they aren't separate.
Right, they aren't separate. And you think of temperature, hot versus cold, well, it's all temperature. So to say that they're opposite each other, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. And, and if most people are seeking for the light, and they think of light as, the good and darkness is the bad, but clearly, in the work that we're all doing, it's to go into the darkness and uncover what's there. So without to be only seeking the light, you're only you're making a separation that doesn't even exist. And so I love to think of things as complementary as opposed to oppositional.
Yeah, and the idea of the dark versus the light, if you're looking at it in these deeper spiritual ways of exploring and questioning, there is only what is. It's all there. It's all there all the time. There's part of it that we will shine the light of our awareness on so we can be aware of it, and there's part of it that we turn away from. But it doesn't mean it's not there. And it doesn't mean that it's bad or it's evil because we don't want to look at it. Just because we've judged it one thing or another doesn't make it the one thing or another. Dale Allen Hoffman in one of his talks would say, let me ask the question, what do we call the side of the moon that the sun refuses to shine on? And two or three people in the audience will shout out, the dark side of the moon. And he goes, okay, but, that's basically a trick question because the sun doesn't refuse to shine. The sun just shines. The dark side of the moon is only the side of the moon that's turned away from the light.
Mm-hmm.
And the dark side of the moon is no different than the light side of the moon, except in the minds of humans that label it such. It's just the moon.
And I guess we have to turn away in order to come into this dream experience, right? In order to experience separation.
Right. There has to be something that we're willing to look at and something that we're not willing to look at. Yep.
Exactly.
And that whole thing is, if you're looking for a way to understand kind of an operational or a functional or a useful way to think about the unconscious, you take on what Paramahansa Yogananda said. There is only your consciousness. There isn't the conscious and the unconscious. There's just your consciousness. And there's the part of your consciousness that you're willing to look at and the part of your consciousness that you're not willing to look at. And the part of your consciousness you're not willing to look at, you call it the unconscious. But it's all just your life experience. It's all just your thoughts and your judgments. There isn't anything else. It's all what's always happened. And I find that a very useful conceptualization of that, quote, unconscious process, because then I don't have to fear it, and then I can use tools like Dr. Michael Ryce makes available to explore that part of my mind. What would those be? Those would be tools like the Reality Management Worksheet, where every time I do one, I cancel what the conscious logical mind is chattering away, trying to get me to believe, and asking to be shown something else. There's a thing he calls the Mind Shifter tool, which is basically what I call targeted journaling. In psychology and psychotherapy practices for hundreds of years, people have talked about journaling. And so the Mind Shifter tool just gives me a specific focus to be journaling about. And so it's going to help me explore by adding resonating energy to certain parts of my consciousness that I'm afraid to look at or have labeled as too much for me to look at. Eventually, the energy level in those parts of my mind or my consciousness reaches a crescendo, and then it bursts into awareness and it spills out on the paper. So again, it's just being willing to be aware of different parts of my mind that I've been hiding from myself, or different parts of my experience, or different parts of my consciousness that I've been hiding from myself.
And isn't it always such a wonderful experience when those things come forward? It's never like, oh, that's horrible. It's always like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, well, the experience is that it's a pain reliever when that happens.
Right.
Because it loses power over me. It loses the ability to create pain in my mind when it gets brought to full conscious awareness.
Yeah, the blinders come off.
Well, so here we are. Thank you all for the calls. We're down to a minute, a little more than a minute, and we might be having technical difficulties. I don't know, but I will go ahead and thank you, Susan. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Ellen, and get ready for what we hope will be a transition to the second hour. I don't see anybody on the call just yet, but hopefully we'll have a second hour, beginning with Michael and Jeannie, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and if you call that number and press 1, if we're lucky, the switchboard will register, and I'll be able to turn on your microphones. It seems like at this point I have been able to turn on the microphones for different people, and there's Jeannie Ryce.